Hello, everyone, and welcome to A Higher Perspective. We are about to enter a week that brings historic information to our doorstep about what's next and what our world will be like. Because of the relevance of this moment, you may have been experiencing a lot of chaos, volatility. Perhaps things aren't coming to fruition in the way that your plans and efforts normally would, or that you hoped. And despite your best efforts, things are still a little chaotic. That's really not about you, which is the good news. The planet is actually itself going through a reorganization, and a lot of chaotic things are happening. Why? Because we're between these two phases of transformation. One is chaos, moving out of the anger and into the start of the new, and the old and new are mixing together. So that's the chaos. And then the last phase is commitment to a way of being. The interesting part about what's happening now is that if you have been a person who has been advancing the new paradigm, trying to get us out of the old paradigm and the old box and into the new, then you are divesting your energy from resistance to saying, hey, it's time for something new. We need to build something, and there's resistance to the old, and divesting that kind of energy and investing in rising up. So rising up is the next phase that says, I'm going to invest in where I'm going, not looking back. So there's this saying, we're not going back. And energetically speaking, and from a transformational phase standpoint, that's exactly where we need to be. And as a planet, that's where we're going. As we move into 2025, we find that there's energies that's telling us that we're moving from the I to the we, from the hero to that which facilitates all of us contributing our individual and unique gifts so that we can become one whole. It reminds me of many years ago, I was with a top 6 consulting firm. They had offices in 200 different countries, and they were trying to figure out how to honor the cultures in all of those different countries, while at the same time bringing the awareness that all of those 200 companies were with one company, that there was a unified whole. And then there was respect and recognition for the differences. That's what we're doing as a planet. And we're just starting that right now. This week is going to help us to anchor that path in, and then to begin to move in that direction where we invest our energy in rising up and rising together, understanding the power we have both to express our voice and also to connect with each other and support each other in voicing each of our uniqueness. So a lot of times, if the old paradigm has said, for example, that you don't count or you're marginalized because you don't look a certain way, you don't believe a certain way, you don't feel a certain way. Well, if that changes, then the wind will be at our back to learn how to voice our uniqueness, voice what we want to express and love on this planet, right? That's what we're here to do. So even if you're frustrated at what hasn't happened yet, have some faith, apply some patience, know it's not about you, and ride this tide a little bit. So let's talk about how to do that. One of the ways we can do that is to do our grounding exercises, feeling the weight at the base of our spine and extending down either a cord or imagining a root system. And I've recently changed the way that I've been doing that, so that instead of using a root system, I am looking in my imagination as a tree trunk, literally a tree trunk from the base of my spine to the core and the heart of Mother Earth. I've been studying trees lately. Never mind, my name is Trees, but I've been studying trees lately, and I've been fascinated at their wisdom, at their individual expressions, as their bark and their trunk are at a certain width and depth and density. And then each of them decide how they're going to rise up and how they're going to express their creative purpose in the world. And I've been looking at the wisdom, for example, when someone starts to build some buildings and a tree has started to grow, I watch how the branches choose to extend out into the street, and then there's no branch going towards that which has been built. Nobody's telling that tree that that's a good idea, but somehow it's managed to figure that out without even touching that edifice and knowing that it's there. So each of us have that same kind of radar and GPS in our own hearts. And so another thing you can do besides that grounding cord exercise there, or the grounding trunk exercise, if you will, which is really important, is to move into your heart with some expectation and anticipation of peace. Because that's the opposite of what we might be feeling. But if we go inside and say, but that's where we land, and find that, and maybe put our hands on our hearts and listen into our heartbeat, because the beat of our heart is unique. It's our own. And as we say hello to ourselves, every time we do that, we're acknowledging that we can be a sacred witness to our own lives. In addition to the everyday activity that is required of us, or that we need to do and have to do or want to do, we have this other part of us that is, I'll call it the eternal self. And when we open the crown of our head and allow that energy in through a deep breath, we're inviting in that eternal self to have a cup of tea or coffee with our temporal self, the one that has all these activities to do, and they meet in our hearts. And as they begin to have that conversation, eventually all of us learns what's possible in peace, and also wisdom for the moment, and wisdom for the courage to move forward, even though we might be experiencing something uncomfortable. So make friends with yourself and stay on your own side during this time. Ground and know that you're in a time when there's a lot of things going on to influence you in a way that might unground you. So insist on understanding that you have a purpose, and know that as you begin to trust yourself, and as you begin to insist on expressing what you have to say in the way that you feel best for your highest good and others' highest good, that the wind will eventually be at your back as you rise up as well. So I hope that that's helped. Please stay safe. Please stay grounded. Please also acknowledge your boundaries, and only let what's inside that boundary, being you and the energy of your eternal self, or the God of your heart, and start radiating out, so that there's no place for other people's energy inside your field. I hope that's helped, and I look forward to our next conversation on higher perspectives. In the meantime, if you like this, please subscribe, and I wish you a very happy and grounded week.